Hello and welcome back to X-Ray Tech Tube. I know that I've been gone for a little while, and to mark my return I've prepared a special video. All the components that you see on the desk here before you comprise what made up my very first gaming PC, the device that catapulted me into a world and a love for PC hardware. What we're going to do today is take a look at this build, all the parts and components that made it up, and see exactly what it can do in today's gaming, as well as experiment with basically what could have happened had I not upgraded. Anyway, cue the intro. Back in 2014, I found myself at the crossroads of disposable income and years of dissatisfaction with the console gaming community, and I asked a friend for help. With his expert guidance, we pieced together a mini ITX machine that at the time represented good value for money. The heart of this system is an FM2 Plus socket ITX motherboard. At the time, AMD's 4-core Athlon CPUs offered some value to budget gaming, and my budget was firmly below what was needed for Intel chips. The CPU is an Athlon II X4 760K, a piledriver-based processor featuring 4 cores, or 2 cores and 4 threads, depending on who you ask. I have repurposed a stock FX 8350 CPU cooler, which is far superior to the pitiful chunk of aluminum the Athlon came with. Pushing graphics is the venerable Radeon R9 270X 2GB. My original back in the day was a Sapphire DualX card, but this MSI model will do. My CPU ran alongside 8GB of Corsair Vengeance DDR3 1600, and tying it all together is the Cooler Master Elite 130. This case debuted in 2013 as a strong middle ground between the alien landscapes of small form factor and full-size towers of the day. I say this because by design and as far as SFF cases go, it is remarkably lenient and forgiving. It accommodates ATX power supplies, has room for mounting both 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch drives, and has good airflow thanks to a 120mm fan in front and a slim 80mm fan exhausting air from the side. Both sides are well ventilated along their length. The case is flexible enough to even allow mounting of a 120mm AIO for the CPU on the front mesh panel, although we have not opted for that configuration in this build. The case also supports full-length graphics cards, although you do have to be careful that they are only 2-slot graphics cards. Anything larger will not fit. The PSU for this build is going to be the FSP Dagger 600. This is an 80 plus gold rated, fully modular SFX power supply that's highly versatile, even more so when you consider that it's included with a metal bracket that allows an interface with a regular ATX case or regular ATX power supply mounting. This is going to be a PSU that I'll keep on hand, not just for this build, but for all future ITX builds as sort of multi-purpose, as it'll be able to support multiple case sizes and multiple GPU wattage requirements. Here we have everything together. Please excuse the white mounting bracket for the SSD that is the mounting bracket to the test bench PC with the Ryzen 7 featured in one of our previous videos, and because that's where it generally lives, that bracket usually stays on. Let's take a little bit now to enjoy our finished product before we get into benchmarks.
Perfect.
Moving into benches, we look at Cinebench R20. This test will be replacing the classic R15 for our CPUs moving forward, and we can see that the Athlon scores 633 points, just edging out the included mobile i5 5300U and narrowly avoiding the bottom of the chart. Another new update is going to come to our graphics card benchmark software, which is going to be Unigine Superposition. It is a sleek and modern successor to Unigine Heaven and a welcome addition to our test bed as we see the R9 270X push out 4,369 points and an average FPS of 32.68. And rolling right along, CSGO is notoriously easygoing on hardware, and here the build holds up. At competitive settings with everything on low, it gave me an average of 69 and a 1% low of 39 FPS across 6 team deathmatch bot games. While competitive players will seek FPS in the hundreds, I was happy to see that things played relatively well and smoothly. Warframe is the next title on our list, and one that made really good use of our aging hardware. While playing at medium, I saw an average FPS of 88, with 1% low values at 58, and an all-around playable experience despite choosing a game mode and level that throws lots of enemies at you. And the game being free to play as well as being so easy on hardware, it's just icing on the cake. It makes it an absolute slam dunk choice for somebody with limited hardware potential like in a build like this. Overwatch is up next, and there isn't a lot of surprise here. Overwatch has always played well, and with settings at the low preset, I was able to play with a smooth 91 average FPS with lows only dipping to around 56 for gameplay that anyone could be pleased with. A much more recent and demanding title, Apex Legends, rounds off our selection in a show that surprised and impressed me. Optimization for the game is strong enough that even with such dated hardware, I was able to see an average of 71 and lows of 40 FPS while playing on low settings, with the VRAM texture allowance set to 2 GB. This makes a lot of sense when we stop and think about it. Free-to-play games want to bring as many players in as they possibly can, which means making sure your product can reach multiple players on multiple hardware tiers. Props to the Apex team because they've done exactly that. Wrapping things up, overall it's been a really fun journey getting back to my roots with this PC. I know that this isn't nearly as far back as some other users started, and we saw that the hardware even holds up in some budget and esports titles today. I'd love to hear your first build specs and how far you guys have come in your PC gaming journey. Please share your story and any thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you liked the video. Stay tuned for more from X-Ray Tech, giving you an inside look at PC hardware.